Hello and welcome to From the Rabbi's Bookshelves. I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney. I want to share with you today one of my favourite medieval books, medieval Sfarim from the Jewish Library, Sefer HaChinuch, which means a book of education. And this was a groundbreaking book in its time, and by its time I mean the 13th or 14th century. The author is unknown. It's anonymously authored, although we think it was a rabbi in Barcelona called Rabbi Aaron Halevi, who lived in Spain in the 13th, 14th century. And it does something for the first time. It takes every single mitzvah in the Torah, of which we believe there are 613, and it arranges them parasha by parasha. So where it appears in the weekly Torah portion, he discusses it in the heading of the portion of the week. And the legend is that he had a son who was messing about on Shabbos afternoons, as teenage boys are perhaps likely to do, and he wanted to give his son something to learn and to read on a Shabbos afternoon. And so he wrote this book, and so every week his son would read the Mitzvot for that particular week. Sometimes there are very, very many, sometimes there are very few or none at all for a particular week, because not every parasha contains a mitzvah, and some contain a huge number of mitzvot. I really love this Sefer because his worldview is very, very attractive to me. He sees Judaism and Torah as a very beautiful, warm and inspiring institution. That God really just wants to do good for us, he wants to look after us, he wants to bless us, and all we have to do is make ourselves worthy to receive his blessing, which he wants to shower upon us. And Torah is intended to help us become better people and finer people so we can enjoy God's blessings even more. And all the mitzvot have a rational basis that we can understand, which serves a purpose and is in some sense helpful to our development. He's influenced by two different people, primarily Maimonides the Rambam and the Ramban Nachmanides. The Rambam more philosophical, more rational, the Ramban more mystical, and he seems to be a combination of these two great thinkers and their influence. Let me read what he says about Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals, benching, as we call it. Why do we say Birkat HaMazon? What's the purpose of making a blessing after we eat bread or have a meal with bread? And what he says is very indicative of his general approach. He says this: Umi midosov, Baruch Hu shehu rav chesed v'chafetz b'tovas briosav v'rotze liosam ru'uyin v'zakayin lekabel tova mito. All God really wants, because he's full of kindness, is to do good for his creations, and all he wants is for us to be worthy of receiving that goodness and that blessing. And so what do? We acknowledge his kingship, we acknowledge that he is God, and in that way, anu zochin b'maseh hatov hazeh, we make ourselves worthy through this good deed, lamshich aleinu miberchosav, to cause his blessings to be poured out upon us. So by acknowledging that God is the source of blessing and thanking him for blessing, we make ourselves worthy to receive more blessing. That's all that God wants. That's remarkable. God says, thank me for the blessings I give you, so I can give you more blessings. God just wants to do us good and wants us to be worthy to receive his good. A very inspiring and beautiful teaching from the Sefer HaChinuch, one of many, many such teachings in this really beautiful, gorgeous Sefer. Thanks for joining.